Yo, what's good? It's your boy B-Dell. If you're new to this channel, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. But today I'm going to be deciphering the terminology of the phrase white lives matter and how it's conducive to the context of law and the political system that's connected to the Declaration of Human Rights, which gives you sovereignty in the geographical landmass of America because you're a naturalized citizen, according to the 1870 Naturalization Act that's propagated by the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, right? So with all that shit being said, I got all the receipts, you know what I'm saying, to break down the semantics that's being played through the corporation, right? And I'm going to be showing you the reality of how the corporate legal fiction of the de facto corporation of the United States government is basically using misnomer appellation titles that takes you away from your birthright. Because when you break down the etymological roots of the word nationality, it comes from the word nativity. Nativity comes from the word navel. Navel basically means birthright, to where you basically connected to a certain geographical landmass that belongs to you, you know, based upon the fact that you're actually the so-called real white person, right? And I'm going to show you that right now. So when you break down the etymology of the word black, you know, this is according to the 1868 Webster's Dictionary. So they play semantics with the verbiage. So it tells you that black actually means pale. So when you say Black Lives Matter, you're actually saying European lives matter, because I told you we live in a Luciferian system to where it creates an inverted lifestyle. So everything that you've been told is actually backwards. So when you say Black Lives Matter, you actually saying European lives matter, because, you know, white people are not actually white, because in order to be white, you have to be a naturalized citizen, right? So, and also when you call yourself color, it comes from the word color, which that is spelled C-O-L-E-R, which means hidden. So you're not colored either. So I'm going to show you something. So in order to be a free white persons, according to the Naturalization Act, amended on July 14, 1870, right? So these terms and titles, so like I said, to be white, it does not mean Caucasian or Aryan race or Indo-European races, nor the mixed Indo-European, Dravidian, Semitic, or the Mongolian peoples of Persia, right? Because like I said, to be white is actually like a sign of nobility, right? So I'm going to show you that here in a second. So to be a free white person means to be sovereign, you have a sign of nobility, because nobility is connected to the Moorish titles, right? Which is Ali, El, Bey, Day, and Al. I'm a Bey. So these Moorish titles is connected to the lands of North and South and Central America. And these titles of nobility are only lawful to the titles of the land. And these are the titles and basically honor the nobility status of the people that's connected to the actual geographical landmass of America. So like I said, you know, Moors are the sovereign body that is referred to as we the people, the preamble of the Constitution of the United States Corporation, right? So also, you know, the Albion Europeans, what they did was they changed the names of the caste system that connects you to the class system, which is based on wealth and hidden codes. Black and white are basically implying colors when they conquer the Moors, thus usurping the hereditary nobility. So they usurped your sovereign capacity, which puts you under the Hiram Abiff. So now when you go to, I'm going to show you something here. So now when you go to this, the hexa-alpha symbol, the hexa-alpha symbol is really the inception of that symbol and that sigil came from the Moors. So they stole your birthright, not to be anti-Semitic, but they stole your birthright through an artificial caste system that's connected to the Jewish Defense League, because the hexa-alpha symbol is basically the unification of the divine feminine and the divine masculine working in synergy, which is connected to the Moabite and the Moorish Fez, you know, because like I said, the original man and the original woman can only, you know, be sovereign to this geographical landmass. So now, when you understand the dynamics of the 1724 Black Christian codes, it says that the Moors of Al-Maghrib, which is America, have been made illiterate by force of colorable laws through the political and religious institutions established and supported by the colonies and states and agents. Agents are bound to the European guilds, groomed and chosen among the Moorish descendants, labeled Negro, Black, African-American, Negro of color, and the mission to oversee the agents' job is to encourage the use of states' adhesion contracts and state religions. This basically reinforces the fraud of the Black Christian codes that was propagated in 1724. So even when you call yourself a Christian, so when you break down the etymological roots of the word Christian through the G3526 strong concordance, Christian means Black. You see what I'm saying? Because you was put in a state of subjugation and servitude under these artificial religious systems, because these religious systems is connected to the Freemasonic order. The Freemasonic order is connected to government. Government controls the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment is a fraudulent contract. The 14th Amendment is a fraudulent contract because it was never ratified, because there's a delineation between a 14th Amendment citizen and a 9th Amendment citizen. One has legal status, one doesn't, because they play semantics and everything with the verbiage and when they got certain capitalization on certain letters, right? So now when you go to the promotion of the artificial names such as Black Nation, Negro Nation, Color Nation, African American Nation, West Indian Nation, these are all fraudulent titles. There is no nations ever existed under those titles. You need a national name in order to have a nationality to be sovereign to the geographical landmass of America. So those appellation misnomer titles makes you a ward of the state, right? So this means that you don't have no rights, no protections. You're not recognized by the United Nations, and you're not recognized by the international nations or the communities that's connected to their law systems, right? So, and these was all created by the Dutch master and Anglo-Saxon, Europeans that put you under chattel property, right? So now I'm going to show you something here. Where is it at? So now when you call yourself African American, this is a federal term describing property, not a race of people. Property has no race classification. Property has no human rights. So they tricked you into you asking for civil rights, right? Asking for equal rights. So you're not supposed to be asking for civil rights or equal rights. You're supposed to be asking for human rights, because human rights connects you to the Indigenous People Act. So this is why, this draconian system, the draconian laws is connected to the eugenic system, because the eugenic system is basically used in the name of usurping your energy and your soul and your spirit through the dark priesthood of the Vatican Church, right? Because the Vatican also corresponds to everything that's going on, because they are the ones who implemented the Inquisition that's connected to the 1724 Black Christian codes. So this is why the police get their concepts of law, they get it from the Black Christian codes. You see what I'm saying? So this is why a police officer can shoot your ass down in the streets and get away with it. So that's why they have the example right here of Trayvon Martin, who was considered property owned by the United States of America, which is a corporation, and he had no human rights. So like I said, stop asking for civil rights and ask for human rights, because human rights connect you to the Indigenous People Act, which gives you sovereignty in the geographical landmass to where they don't have jurisdiction over you, you know what I'm saying, in your own country. So like I said, African American is a 14th Amendment citizen made property by the executive order 13037, signed by law by Bill Clinton. You see what I'm saying? Everything, you know what I'm saying, is working in synergy when you understand the dynamics of what's basically being played. So now when you go to the divine constitution of the Moorish Americans, Act 6, it says, this is why Noble Jew Ali, basically, you know, peace and love to all the Moors, by the way. This is why Noble Jew Ali, he said that there are no Negro colored folks, Black people, Ethiopians, because these are names that was given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and last until 1865 during the time of slavery. So like I said, these are artificial names that's connected to the corporate legal fiction of the de facto corporation, which is basically the United States. So now, when you look at it from that aspect, I'm going to show you some videos of Kanye West to break down everything that's, you know, what I'm saying. Because, you know, in order for him to, you know, to give the edification on national television like that, now you can see why, you know, JP Morgan Chase Bank cut ties with Kanye West, because he was giving people the reality of nationality. He was doing it, you know, everything through code words. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, you're not Black, you're actually white because you're a naturalized citizen. You're a naturalized citizen because you're sovereign to the land, right? But you don't understand what's going on because you've been taught the wrong way. Everything in a system, you know, is basically inverted. You know what I'm saying? East is actually west, north is actually south. You know what I'm saying? Everything they did is basically created an inverted lifestyle that's connected to a Luciferian system. Because everything in a Luciferian system goes against nature. Your nature is connected to your sovereignty. So I'm going to show you a couple clips here.
First Fashion Week, you just landed, and the lanyard's still on from it, and there's a photograph on it. What is that?
It's a photograph of a baby's ultrasound.
Why is that? And then you designed that?
Yes.
Why? What does that mean?
It just represents life. I'm pro-life.
Boy, so you wear it on a badge. What kind of response do you get? And I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more Black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of Black death in America is abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
Now, like I said, this only happens because you don't have any jurisdiction, because you putting yourself out of your own birthright when you call yourself Black. You see what I'm saying? This is why, you know, all many different types of dehumanizations is basically being propagated against you because you don't have a nationality. They can't do none of this stuff to you if you have a nationality. So now, what is a nationality? Like I said, nationality comes from the word nativity. Nativity means that you have a sovereign capacity according to the land that you belong to, right? Because now, like, nationality basically gives you political and social status in a position in a rank in society. You don't have a rank in society as a so-called Black person. You don't have a rank in society as an African-American. You don't have a rank in society when you call yourself Negro or colored, because when you in those characterizations of those of citizenships and status is the first issue at law, and that must be addressed and considered the national and international civic arena. You see what I'm saying? So now, like I said, you know, the Union State Society has the de facto authority over the piece of land now called the United States of America, over the primitive people who are basically denationalized in a state which are branded Negro, Black, African-American, Negro, colored, Latino, Puerto Rican, Indian, West Indian. These are classified as illegal aliens, often receive benefits as a result as a foreign jurisdiction. United States of America Corporation with the headquarters of England classifies as false identification paperwork, right? So like I said, there's a delineation between the 14th Amendment citizen and a 9th Amendment citizen. One has legal status, one doesn't, because a 14th Amendment artificial person this is basically the status category that's connected to the Union State Society and uses the classification of the Aboriginal Moors of North and South Exum to where they basically denationalize us by branding us under artificial terms. So this is why they basically haven't publicly declared the nationality and the matching identification, which is basically connected to the denationalized, which puts you under the Hiram Abiff because you don't know who you are. And the Hiram Abiff is basically a sleep spell, right? So now also, when you understand the dynamics of the Roman occupational ordinances, which is basically works in synergy with mind control. So these, these systems, these class caste systems is connected to the Roman ordinances. So even, the Inquisition in itself is also connected to the Black Christian codes, because these terms and titles force you into servitude in a state of subjugation, right? So it also says that the church uses the ordinances and the canon laws to rule over the oppressed Moors, and the states use de facto ordinances and the canon laws to rob and rule the oppressed Moors labeled as Black, African American, Negro, colored, Puerto Rican, Latino, Hispanic, and things of that nature. There is no separation between the church and the state. There has never been. They basically work in synergy, right? So like I say, even when you call yourself Christian, you still calling yourself Black. So I'm going to show you some more clips of Kanye West.
So you said that your father said when he saw the shirt, White Lives Matter, it's great to see a Black man stating the obvious. So by which I think you meant that's obviously true.
Yeah, that's my favorite response, because I kept on thinking, like, people, they're looking for an explanation, and people say, well, as an artist, you don't have to give an explanation, but as a leader, you do.
Yes, I think that's right.
So the answer to why I wrote White Lives Matter on a shirt is because they do. It's the obvious thing.
Yeah. Why do you think that's so? And I assume the implication is, of course, all lives matter because they're lives, because God created them.
Yeah.
Why do you think that would be considered controversial?
Because the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be Black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have.
There is no such thing as Black. I just want to I have to reiterate that, because like I said, we are not Black people. We are not African American people. We are Moors. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, when you understand the dynamics and the history of the Moorish history, you will know that this is true. So like I said, these are basically slave titles that was given to you by slave holders.
My dad grew up as a military brat, and his family moved around, but they were based mostly in Delaware. And at the time, if they weren't the only Black family, they were one of the few. And he would be discriminated against because he was Black. So by the time he got into college, he would be discriminated against. He went to a Black college. He would be discriminated against because they said he talked too white.
Yes.
And then he played the kick drum in the band. So when he would go to the club and the music was playing, where would he clap his hands? Where the kick drum is.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of where everyone else was clapping their hands. And this is the most elegant and tasteful person that I know. And when my mom, when the school suggested like the herding systems, because what they do is take the Black community and they separate us, and they separate the families, and the educated, they push this need for higher education, and us as Blacks, we discriminate against each other and say, well, I got my PhD and you don't have your PhD, so I'm better than you. And so my mom, she had a PhD, and she was influenced to move to the south side of Chicago and take this job at Chicago State University. And she told my dad, if you come for us, you'll never see him again. Because, the media ridiculed me for getting the house next door to Kim to see my children. And they even said that I was stalking her and her new boyfriend because I bought the house next door to see my children. And that's how I knew that my mom had said that to him. I said, Dad, they moved us to one of the most agreed upon to be one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's almost like they tried to kill me or something. I said, Dad, why'd you never come to get us? And that's when he told me that she was told that. There's so many things that are put in Kim's head. They bring influencers, like no one ever knew where Corey Gamble came from. No one in the fashion world.
I'm going to keep showing you some more clips because he is putting hidden jewels inside of this, this interview. Right?
They would want to promote unhealthiness among the population.
It's a genocide of the Black race. They want to kill us in any way they can. Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics with the KKK. And I believe that if we saw ourselves as a people and not a race, then we would treat our people better. Like if you go to a Jewish person and you say a race, it almost gets confusing. They'll cut you off quickly and say, we're not a race, we're a people. Well, our people are supposed to just say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. Okay, well, what about, do you own the land that you're living in? Do you own, is the contracts even in a language that's even possibly understandable,
right?
For your heritage, and in America, we as Blacks will down each other on how good we speak, but we're speaking English. There's nothing whiter than English. We're not in our native tongue, actually. So we judge each other on white goal lines, not based on exactly what our culture is based on.
First horse meat, then the mysterious.
Man. You see what I'm saying? Everything he's saying is actually true. But like I said, everybody, you've been, socialized, to, by westernized, concepts and perceptions. Everything that they basically told you was actually a lie. Everything is flipped around. So, like I said, everything that Kanye West is saying that he's giving out to the public is actually true. But like I said, you have to get away from this emotionalism, thinking that you're African-American and that you Black and that you colored. These are all misnomer titles that connect you to their systems.
The white, I feel like someone caught what I was saying, the comparison to Tanya Hardin about the White Lives Matter. My dad is an educated ex-Black Panther, and he put a text to me today, he said, White Lives Matter, ha, 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 ha. And I said, I thought the shirt was a funny shirt. I thought the idea of me wearing it was funny. And I said, Dad, what do you think was funny? He said, just a Black man stating the obvious. And, my dad doesn't listen to rap music.
He said he just stating the obvious. Look at this.
My dad doesn't listen to rap music, and he's super educated. We opened up a water distribution center in the Dominican Republic together. He said, me wearing it was funny. And I said, Dad, what do you think was funny? He said, just a Black man stating the obvious. And, my dad doesn't listen to rap music, and he's super educated. we opened up a water distribution center in the Dominican Republic together. He's like the original Steve Jobs, but he was getting blocked every which way with all of his ideas. And he didn't have an endless bank account, and he didn't have an Instagram. So all these ideas, he had to like take them back and compress them. Like my dad is the most brilliant person that I know. And we actually have a strained relationship because I was taken from him, because my mom was an actress, so she was a liberal. And my dad would see certain things and say, you know, we should do it this way, we should do it that way. And the people got around my mom and pulled her away, much like, you know, Kim is a Christian, but she has people who want her to go to Interview Magazine and put her ass out while she's a 40-something-year-old multi-billionaire with four.
So like I said, he's dropping gems in his interview. But like I said, you have to know your real history in order to, you know, understand everything intuitively about everything that he's saying, right? So now we're gonna go back up here. So to close out, you know, these artificial names that, you know, that was basically given to us, you know, when you're talking about the Christian Black codes of 1724, you know, these are the articles. This ain't the whole, you know, this ain't the holistic, you know, document, but everything, you know what I'm saying, states verbatim. You know what I'm saying? You got Article 1, which basically decrees expulsion of the Jews from the colony. And then you got Article 2, make it imperative on masters to impact religious instruction to their slaves. So like I said, you're not supposed to be Christian because the Christian codes apply to the artificial slave titles, right? So like I said, it takes you away from your birthright. So you're actually the so-called white person because the term white actually means sovereign. So when you're under a sovereign capacity, you don't apply to the Christian Black codes. Then you go to Article 4, Negroes placed under the direction and supervision of any other person than a Catholic and are liable and confiscated. Article 5, Sunday and holidays are to be strictly observed. All Negroes found at work on these days are to be confiscated. So like I said, man, this is all connected to the caste system. The 1724 Black Christian codes, like I said, is also was connected to the Inquisition that was implemented by Queen Isabella and the Pope, right? So with all that shit being said, man, it's time for Black people to stop being so-called Black people to stop being politically naive. Because like I said, we are not Black people. We are not African American. We are not Negroes. We are not colored people. Because I told you the word color, C-O-L-E-R, which means hidden. You know what I'm saying? So you are hidden people with a hidden history with artificial appellation misnomer titles, right? So you have to understand your history intuitively in order to deviate from Eurocentric and Westernized culture, right? You know, and to understand your history is not to be one of those things where you can be combative to a certain race of people. You see what I'm saying? Just because you know your real history doesn't mean that you're anti-European. So like I said, then also when you call them white, that you're basically giving them jurisdiction over you in your own land. You call them European, because when you call them European, they be operating outside of constitutional fold of government, right? Because they'll be outside of law. Because they don't belong to this, you know, this planet. They don't belong to this geographical location. They're not indigenous anywhere. Because even when you call the European, even when you call a so-called white person European, Europe comes from the word Queen Europa, who was a so-called Black woman. And Europe is actually West Asia. But, you know, we're going to get into that on a different broadcast. But with all that being said, man, you have to, you know, decipher everything you have to decipher the semantics that's being played on multimedia. Because like I said, everything, you know, works in synergy. You know, the truth is going to come to the forefront eventually, because you can't hide, you know, a demographic of people under false appellation titles. So with all that shit being said, man, declare your nationality. You're not Black, you're not African American, you're not Negroes, and you're not colored. So thanks for watching. Get this video out there. I'll be back with a video soon, and I'm going to be talking about on how, you know, the Crystal City is actually inside the Grand Canyon. So we're going to get into it. But thanks for watching. Get this video out there. Like, share, subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.